the Great Collapse. A catastrophic event which killed many people and destroyed a huge part of Winterhold. A series of storms tashed out at the coast of Winterhold, causing its coast to erode and eventually tearing parts of the city into the Sea of Ghosts. It took place in the year 122 of the Fourth Era. Although the ultimate cause is pretty much unknown, the townspeople think that the College of Winterhold is to blame. Members of the college speculate the cause to be a very far-reaching consequence of the eruption of Red Mountain in an event called the Red Year. The Red Year names the event which would change the landscapes of Vardenfell and the neighboring lands forever. Lord Vivek vanished, the power holding up Bardau faded over the time, and the fear of the people rose. As the power holding up Bardau faded completely, it crashed into Vivek City and with it triggered a series of disasters. One of these disasters was the eruption of Red Mountain, the volcano in the middle of Vardenfell. But that took place in the year 5 of the Fourth Era. 117 years before the Great Collapse. So either the force spread at a snail's pace or this actually wasn't the cause of the Great Collapse. People in Skyrim are clueless about the true cause of the storm. But there is an organization that might just know what happened. An organization shrouded in mystery and intrigue. With an ancient history tied to it and possessing knowledge the common folk can't even understand. But they give us hints that it might be connected to events at the college happening as we arrive there. For us to understand what they mean, we first have to understand the college's questline. The tale begins quite unspectacular as we approach the bridge to the College of Winterhold.
Cross the bridge at your own peril. The way is dangerous and the gate will not open. You shall not gain entry.
We are stopped by a mage standing atop the bridge. A high elf sorceress called Feralda. Feralda mentions that the Dragonborn has to pass a test in order to join the college, as they just don't want to let anyone in. But passing the test is easy, and she then sends the Dragonborn to Mirabel Irvine. She tours us through the college, and when finished, the first lecture already starts. Tolfdir, an important character for this tale, teaches us about basic wards. After a successful lesson, we are expected in Sarthal to learn about the history of magic and its users. An old Nord ruin which is suspected to be one of the first, if not the first, city built by the Otmorans, the ancestors of today's Nords. While exploring the place and after a little incident, a mage appears out of nowhere. Time stops and he warns us about a chain of events we just caused and that the Psijic Order will watch and judge us based on our interactions to come. Time returns to normal and we continue to explore the ruins. At the end of the ruins we stumble upon something very odd. A blue, floating orb. It gives off a blue light, turns around its own axis and is protected by a barrier. Though the barrier vanishes as we defeat the Draugr protecting this place. To find such a thing in an old Nord ruin is most curious. Thus we are sent back to the college to report this finding to the Archmage. The Archmage notes that we should begin researching this subject. When consulting with the librarian Urag Groshub, he mentions that a number of books were stolen and that these stolen books might contain what we are looking for, and Encano is being Encano, as always.
That sounds precisely like the sort of thing that should matter to everyone, especially me.
So we make our way to get these books. From these books we learn that this orb we recently found is called the Eye of Magnus and that it's a very powerful artifact. During our research with Tolfdir we get interrupted by Encano. Apparently a monk from the Psijic Order arrived at the college and asked to speak with us. As we approach him to speak with him, a grey glaze invades our sight and time seemed to be halted again, just like last time. The monk tells us some interesting things. Listen for yourself.
The situation here at your college is of dire importance. I believe it is due to the very source of our concern. This object, the Eye of Magnus, as your people have taken to calling it. The energy coming from it has prevented us from reaching you with the visions you have already seen. The longer it remains here, the more dangerous the situation becomes. And so I have come here personally to tell you it must be dealt with. As you may have learned, this object, the Eye, is immensely powerful. The world is not ready for it. If it remains here, it will be misused. Indeed, many in the Order believe it has already. Rather, something will happen soon, something that cannot be avoided. Seek out the Augur of Dunlane here in your college. His perception may be more coherent than ours.
And as a good student we do as we are told. We locate the Augur of Dunlane and consult with him. To keep it brief, he sends us to retrieve the Staff of Magnus. But we first have to find out where it is. Mirabelle tells us about the Synod, the Imperial Authority of Magic. They were looking for it too and headed to mzulft.so. Off we go. In the ancient Dwemer ruin we find out where the staff is. Labyrinthian. A very old and dangerous ruin in the center of Skyrim. When we are ready to leave, the monk appears again through a vision. He tells us that we are doing very well and that trying times are ahead and that we have to get back to the college. When getting back to Hogwarts, Ancano is doing the typical Ancano stuff again and we try to stop him, causing the death of the Archmage and ripping open strange rifts through which magical anomalies get into Winterhold. After saving Winterhold, Mirabelle sends us to Labyrinthian. But first she gives us a handle to Labyrinthian which she got from Savos Aran before, with the remark that at some point in time this will be of utter importance. Fighting through snow trolls and climbing the stairs to Labyrinthian, we are greeted by the ghosts of some mages, one of which we recognize as Savos Aran. Throughout the dungeon we see these visions from the past, explaining what happened to the group a very long time ago. And we are haunted by fishers of magic, speaking to us as if we were Savos. We pick up the words of Slow Time and find out that this ruin is the home of Morokii, a dragon priest of old, who is sealed in this place by two enthralled wizards. After defeating him we see one last vision of Savos telling that he is sorry and ensuring that he will seal this place forever. We defeat Ancano's little friend Estormo and then return to the college. Defeat Ancano by doing something with the staff and the Eye of Magnus and killing him. This is basically the whole story of the College of Winterhold. Pretty unremarkable, and it is never explained what's the purpose of the staff and especially the Eye of Magnus. We don't learn a lot from the whole quest line at all. But what we learn is from different times, so let's create a timeline of the events. The first thing to happen is most likely the sealing of the dragon priest. Savos and his companions enter Labyrinthian and one after the other dies. With only 3 left they seal Morokii and Savos leaves the others behind and seals them together with Morokii. Assumably after the visit to Labyrinthian the Great Collapse happened. At the moment of the Great Collapse, just like during Labyrinthian, Savos Aran wasn't the Archmage yet. Thus it is not possible to exactly determine that it happened after the sealing. But even if it were the other way around, it wouldn't change anything. And lastly we have the events conspiring during the events of the college quest line. We find the Eye and the staff, Ancano uses the Eye and we defeat Ancano. So the cause for the Great Collapse must be somewhere here on the timeline. I mean, it couldn't be a future event that is responsible for the Great Collapse. And that is where my theory begins. Grab something to eat and drink and listen closely. And remember, always feel free to doubt and ask questions. Because theories are born of doubt and questions. Remember the fight with Ancano. During his monologue he states that he has the power to undo the world itself. He never says to destroy or to burn, but undo. How did he want to do that? Reverse the time or influence the past? Indeed he wanted to. You see, we never learn what the Eye of Magnus actually is. But that doesn't mean that others didn't either. Ancano might have found out that with the Eye of Magnus, he would be able to change things outside of the user's time. And he might even be right. As there are a lot of things alluding to exactly this. The Sijic monk we meet during our expedition in Sarthel does not tell us a lot, but he makes some very interesting remarks. He tells us that we just set a chain of events in motion which cannot be stopped, but we had no way of knowing. He does not exactly go into the specifics. So we can't really figure out what he means at the moment. But the way he delivers these lines let it sound like a specific chain of events. A chain of events he knows of. And cannot be changed. How does he know that? We just picked up a strange amulet and found a chamber with some coffins. But after we continue to search these ruins, we find a massive artifact. So the monk knew what is hidden in the chambers of Sarthal. But this is far from everything. After bringing back the books we are told that a monk of the Sijics wants to talk to us. and says this.
As you may have learned, this object, the Eye, is immensely powerful. The world is not ready for it. If it remains here, it will be misused. Indeed, many in the Order believe it has already. Rather, something will happen soon, something that cannot be avoided.
It will be misused. Some believe it has already. Or rather, something will happen soon, something that cannot be avoided. You make it sound like it already happened and still will happen. That sounds like a perspective from outside of time. And that is because it actually is. I think he is referring to the fight with Encano. You see, I believe that the Eye of Magnus, as we have taken to call it, can manipulate things outside of its own time. And that something that cannot be avoided actually is the Great Collapse. I believe that at the moment we used that staff on the Eye of Magnus and activated it, we distorted the things around us. In space and time. And thus caused, not exclusively, the Great Collapse. The monk referring to the chain of events that cannot be stopped knows that the Great Collapse happened. And if we are the reason for this, the activation of the Eye during the fight, and the fight itself, are inevitable. As the consequences of the fight, the Great Collapse, already set in about 80 years ago. So the fight will and must happen. And that is why the Order never directly interfered and took the Eye away before Encano could even do something. We know that the Eye has immense power and can open fissures all around Skyrim. Tearing the fabric of reality and bring creatures into our world, we would describe as abnormal, anomalies and strange creatures. They might not be from another place, but from another time. The Elder Scrolls franchise is no stranger to time travel and manipulation. In Skyrim alone we have multiple accounts of time manipulation. Even the main quest lets us relive the moment Alduin is sent into the future. Although this is just a vision, I hear you saying. Yes, you are right. Remember the dragon priest masks? There are priests all around Skyrim wearing special masks which enhance their powers. And then there is the wooden mask. A mask that, as it seems, lets you travel back in time, to where the mask altar was still intact. We don't travel in space but in time. And it is not just some vision or illusion. Next to the mask we can find a letter written by a mercenary. It states, quote, "So we get here," he thumbs through some papers and mutters to himself, "Never you mind that me and Graz had to cut through 10 stinking trolls just to get him here, and without so much as a warning, poof. He's put on that mask and vanished. Could have put my hands on his throat one moment, the next he's not so much as thin air," end quote. So actual time travel exists. And mind you where this took place. In Labyrinthian. Also, all throughout the college's questline there are a lot of time-altering motives. The visions of Savo's past in Labyrinthian. The fact that we find that slow time word in Labyrinthian. And all this will be taught from everyone. But the most interesting thing are the Elder Scrolls. Not the franchise but the scrolls themselves. All throughout the series we hear of them. These omni-existing scrolls which basically archive the events of all that has been and will be. Even the scrolls themselves exist and don't exist at the same time. They are fragments of creation from outside space and time. If read, the prophecies told by the scrolls become a fixed point in time and can't be changed. But to the reader's shock, they will blind you for a prolonged period of time or even forever. And then there is the Augur of Dunlane who tells us this.
Your efforts are in vain. It has already begun. To see through Magnus's eye without being blinded, you require his staff.
To see through Magnus' eye without being blinded, you require his staff. Notice something. Just like the Elder Scrolls, it will blind you without the right preparations. In the whole series, there are no other artifacts that even mention to be blinded from using them. Is the Eye of Magnus also a fragment of creation? My idea here is that the Eye of Magnus actually can reverse the prophecies of the already read scrolls. Like a reset button. Changing fixed points in time. But this is pure speculation at that point. What do you think of all this? Do you have found things that don't add up? Feel free to tell me in the comments so we can discuss and theorize even further. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember, winds howling.